You're listening to the Options Insider Radio Network, the home of the Options Podcast. For more quality options programs, visit theoptionsinsider.com or search for Options Insider Radio Network in your podcast provider of choice. Listeners can also access all of our programming through our mobile app available in the iTunes and Google Play stores. Select programs are also available via live stream at mixlr.com/options-insider. That's mixlr.com/options-insider. Don't forget to follow along with your favorite programs and submit your own questions for the hosts at twitter.com/options, stocktwits.com/options, facebook.com/theoptionsinsider, or via questions at theoptionsinsider.com. This episode is sponsored by Demand Derivatives, a startup futures exchange and clearinghouse trading the world's major assets in a creative new way. You already trade on an exchange. Here is your chance to own one. Before they approach large strategic partners for funding, the pioneering team at Demand Derivatives launched a crowdfunding portal so that regular traders have the chance to buy shares. Learn more and become a part of this revolutionary fintech project now at demandderivatives.com/crowdfunding. And now, it's time for the show that breaks down the options market from unusual activity alerts to market analysis, strategy overviews, listener questions, and much more. If it involves puts and calls, then our all-star panel will break it down. It's time to hit the Option Block with your host, Mark Longo from the Options Insider Media Group, and co-hosts, Uncle Mike TOSAW from St. Charles Wealth Management, along with Mark the Greasy Meatball Sebastian and Andrew the Rock Lobster Giovinazzi from OptionPit.com. And now, get ready to hit the Option Block.
All right, everybody. That music means it is time once again for your bi-weekly options extravaganza known as the Option Block. My name is Mark Longo from the OptionsInsider.com, as well as, of course, from the ever-scintillating Options Insider Radio Network. Reminding you, wherever you get this content, on whatever platform, it's available on just about everything these days. You get on your smart speaker. Just tell it to play the Option Block for you. It'll do it. So wherever you want to get it, make sure you keep rating and reviewing. It really does help new folks discover the content. Keep those questions coming too. Of course, keep that feedback coming if you are playing in our Broker Madness tournament. Round 2 roaring to a close today. Got some hot and heavy battles going on over there. Check them out. The easiest place to make your voice heard is over there at Options on most of your major social media platforms. You'll see the link there. Click on that SurveyMonkey link. Head on in, vote till your heart's content. And then, of course, if you want to win the fabulous prizes and be registered for those, put your contact info in there. And we also give you optional feedback fields there, which are kind of fun. Give you a chance to vent your spleen, what you like, what you don't like about your broker. They're completely optional, and you can do them anonymously. A lot of you have. But if you have thoughts, feelings, you want to get off your chest about your brokers, get over there. Take advantage of our megaphone. It's kind of fun. We're going to check out some of that later on today in the show. And, of course, again, keep those questions coming. We do love to hear from all of you guys and gals out there. Let's see who we're hearing from on the old program today. First, we're going to go down deep into the heart of Texas. We are joined once again by the Texas Meatball himself, Mr. Mark Sebastian from OptionPit.com. Mr. Meatball, welcome back to the program. How go things down there in the land of Texas, sir?
It's a beautiful day here. It's sunny. It's clear skies and a clear day for trading as well. Lots lighting up the screens today. Can't wait to break it down.
Is there something to talk about today? I don't know. It doesn't seem like much going on to me out there at all. Kind of a snoozer. I was thinking about canceling the show today, but I guess since you're so excited, I guess we'll keep rolling. You know who else is excited? Also taking a little bit of umbrage out there. The uncleist of Mike's, Mr. Uncle Mike TOSAW from St. Charles Wealth Management. Uncle Mike, A, welcome back to the program. And B, I'm hearing you're raising a bit of a ruckus on social media about your loss in the 80s themed tournament on Monday, sir.
Hey, I am still the champ. First off, thank you for having me. It's always a joy to be here on the option block. But I just want to set the record straight that dinosaurs, as I literally put out a tweet on Monday night saying, congratulations to Mark Sebastian for being the new champ, yada, yada, yada. And so right afterwards, I wanted to watch dinosaurs. I took Mark's advice. I wanted to watch it. I brought it up on Disney Plus, and then I saw it. It said the show aired from 1991 to 1994. So with that, since it was a 90s show, it's not an 80s show. Thus, I am still the 80s theme song champion.
Do you want some extra sour with your grapes? Because I know technicalities are something athletes love to try and win on. So, congrats on retaining your title. Way to go. And there you have it.
I did put it out to the judges, AKA our producer, who is the biggest dinosaurs fan on the planet. And I will say, in our defense, it has the spirit of an 80s show, even though now that I think about it, when I watched it, it was kind of in the early 90s when I think about it. So it did fall in that time, even though it was created in the 80s by Henson and them. So it does have that 80s feel to it. So I put it out to our producer. I said, does it count as an 80s theme song? And she voted that, yes, they're going to extend it for this one time only. So Dinosaurs makes it in. So Uncle Mike, your umbrage is negated. The win goes to Mr. Meatball as we keep on rolling right on into the trading block.
It's time to break down the latest topics, trades, and trends in the world of options. It's time for the Trading Block.
All right, everybody, welcome to the Trading Block, the portion of the show we break down what the heck is trading. I got a feeling what's going on the screens today is going to take away any umbrage Mr. Uncle Mike might have, because there's a lot of green on the screen today. S&P did it, listeners. We were talking for a while. Will it make this 4,000? Just think about that. We were just talking. It doesn't seem like it was that long ago. It was on our election night special when S&P was vacillating around 3,300, got well below it, and some of that internight madness session going on, 3,200 and change. So you're talking 700 plus points just since the election, which is on one hand kind of madness, and yet that's where we find ourselves out there today. S&P up nearly a full percent right now. So just feeling its gusto. For a while there, it flirted with that 4,000 level, then we retreat, then get close and would retreat. Today it said, nah, we're doing it. And it's been hanging out there for quite a while out there. So not afraid to break through that 4,000 level. Other major indices feeling their oats as well. NASDAQ up 1.5%, Dow up about 0.5%. And that means all the vol products, technical term, is getting slammed out there. VIX 18 handle in the VIX. When's the last time we saw that? It's been quite some time, listeners. So just to put it in frame of reference, down about 2.3 points from our show just on Monday. So they're coming for this vol. Now, granted, we do have a holiday kicking in, so that's going to crush some of this vol as well. But still, just fascinating to watch the aggression with this. It'll also be interesting to watch on Monday how much of this vol comes roaring back. They always like to take a weekend back on early Monday, especially after a long holiday like this. So we'll see if this is a short-lived blip, and maybe get your vol sales off now if you got some downside. But either way, take your profits and run. VVIX at a 98 out there, down 10 points from our last show, also still below the triple digits level. VXX just feeling its oats to the dark side at about 11:20 coming into showtime, down about 0.8 of a point, almost a full point from our show on Monday. And VolQ, aka the NASDAQ vol, at about 21, down about 4 points from Monday's show. So a lot to parts. We'll start with the Meatball because he is indeed our reigning champ for this week here with the dinosaurs. Guess your 80s/early 90s theme. Mr. Meatball, a lot to unpack. VIX flirting with that 18 handle. S&P at 4,000. What is lighting up your tape today, sir?
Yeah, the VIX actually traded below 18 this morning, got down to about 1794, I believe. Which was absolutely incredible. It continues this trend of vol suckage that we've talked about. And, it points to all this volume that we've been seeing in April VIX options. And I know this isn't volatility views, but, it's kind of the big story.
We don't have a vol use tomorrow, so might as well get it in now, sir. Go ahead.
Exactly. But you look at all this open interest in VIX 19 puts, 18 puts, 17 puts, even the 16 puts. Last week when VIX was in the 20, when got back over 21, I still couldn't buy the 17 puts for a nickel. And I know why. They're now trading 20 and 25 cents and rising. And because there is a serious vol decline going on in our midst. We've even seen the Russell 2000, which, had a nice quarter, but it had a really rough week. Get its legs back. The NASDAQ, which, if you want to go through a little quarterly review, the NASDAQ did not have a great quarter. It was pretty flat. The other indexes did really well. But it's interesting. Kind of everything is taking off today. It could be because it's the first day of the quarter, a bunch of money flowing in, pushing these indexes higher. Wouldn't be surprised if we got a little bit of a pullback next week, on Monday. But, I think we're more likely to see 4,100, 4,200 than we are to see the wrong side of 3,800, for the rest of the month. I think that the price action and the vol action is extremely bullish. I'm also interested that, we're starting to see some of this, out of the money call action in a lot of names start to calm down. We're not, as stocks are rising, we're seeing their vols drop instead of go up, which is a little bit of a flip on its head from the front end of Q1 and, all the GameStop mania of meme stocks. Even meme stocks are starting to see their volatility behavior start to normalize. So I think the price action is pretty darn bullish.
It sounds like you're looking for the same thing that I am here on Monday, which is a bit of a vol pop like we usually see after a long weekend. Are you setting up for that now? You're going to start taking off some of your VIX downside here ahead of that Monday pop, sir?
Well, what I probably will do is in my long S&P strat, I probably will let myself stay in cash over the weekend, and then look and see where we open up, and buy on Monday. I think if we're down on Monday, you want to buy it because, now that we've traded over 4,000, 5,000 can't be far away. It's just moves faster and faster, and I'm so on Monday I'm going to be using as an opportunity to buy in, because opening, the vaccinations, everything seems to really be starting to fire on all cylinders. Even some of the drug stocks, even some of the vaccination stocks are seeing bullish flow, and those have been where money has gone to die for the last 6 months. If you created a vaccine that saved the world, like Pfizer, your stock went nowhere. But if you were a failing game company, your company went up 15x.
Yes.
I just want to remind everybody of that.
These are the priorities of our world, sir. Are they even a game company? Who knows what they are? They're just a meme at this point. Mr. Uncle Mike, sir, same question for you. If you've recovered from your shocking loss earlier this week, has all the green on the screen today, has it put the smile back on Uncle Mike's face?
Oh, wait, I'm sorry. I'm getting in my car driving to Chicago because I'm the people's champ, and someone's about to get a people's elbow here in a minute, but that's another story. Anyway, I will try to get over this for the greater good of our beloved audience, even though I would encourage them to email and tweet and do everything you possibly can to Mark Longo to tell him how I've been cheated. But with that in mind, no, I think with today, with what we have going on, S&P, SPX is above 4,000. I'd still like to see SPY go above the 400 mark. We hit 399.86 as our high so far today. So still like to see that one little extra push to get everything over 4,000, because the SPX is at 4,009 right now, and the S&P mini's right around it's at 39.99 right now. So still like to see everything over the 4 mark, but I can't be picky lucky on a day when the market's up almost 1% by any means. So, looking at that. And then, of course, we have the Treasury yields. We're right about the same level with which we were at the beginning of the week. Yields are up slightly from where we opened up the week at, but not a lot. So I'm thinking that the 10-year is starting to stabilize a little bit. So we do have that. And then I think that if we can close above 4,000 on the SPX today, I think it will be bullish. A minor pullback wouldn't surprise me on Monday, but I'm not taking anything off on the weekend that I normally would have because of the fact that I'm pretty bullish, even if we close above the 4,000. So I'm continuing to let this puppy ride. Normally I did close out a short put spread today, but that's just because I hit the profit target on it. And so I kind of hope we do have a pullback on Monday, but the long call spreads and the other things that sometimes I might take a little bit off going into the weekend. Sometimes I do, sometimes I don't, but I'm not really taking anything off over the weekend for the reason that I think we are going to continue on Monday. And we might get a pullback, but I don't want to risk missing it, if that makes any sense at all. Silver is up a little over 1% on the day, so we do have that. Banks are rallying with the market, so I know that's been kind of a story recently, but I'm with Mark in that I think the big story right now is the VIX being where it's at. The VIX was in the 17 level. I didn't know that the VIX even knew that 17 existed for this last year, so that's really a sight to see. But looking at everything, I think that we have a lot of strength in this market right now. But the big thing for me that I want to see is if we can close above the 4,000 mark by the end of the day today.
A lot of people will be watching that as well. Let's turn our gaze here to what the options markets have in store for us. Decent paper on the tape today. VIX, as of a few minutes ago, about 314,000 contracts on the tape. The ADV 515s, that ADV has come off precipitously, even from some of our recent shows. It was 585. Just on Monday's show. Now it's 515. So a lot of paper coming off the tape in VIX land. It was north of 700K about a month ago. So it's come off a couple 100,000 contracts in the ADV and VIX land out there of late. Even this big move to the dark side. Let's see if that's going to boost it. Right now, it isn't. Only 314,000 contracts on the tape. SPY at about exactly 3 million contracts right now. The ADV 4.6 million. So SPY closing in on his ADV pretty aggressively. The S 727,000 contracts. The ADV about 1.2 million. So S also doing some decent paper out there. The Q's looking alive out right now, closing in on million contracts, about 925,000 right now. The ADV 1.5 million. So they'll probably hit that one today as well. The IWM actually though looking kind of light, only 266,000 contracts on the tape out there versus the ADV of exactly 700K out there. So a little bit of light action out there in good old IWM, which is kind of interesting because every one of them others seems like they've been all over IWM of late, and then just rut in general, everything Russell 2000. Take a little bit of a break. We'll get into that more. We got Mr. Once and Future Dr. Vix, a.k.a. Mr. Rhodes, a.k.a. the lover of all things small cap these days, joining us on TWIFO a little bit later today. We'll break all that down and a lot more. Let's get on out to the top 10 most active right now. See what you folks are trading from a single name perspective. It's a pretty active day on that front. Cost you 263,000 contracts. If it's north $250,000 to break into the top 10, it's a pretty decently active day. I get you to Micron, actually. Micron fighting its way into the top 10 today, which is kind of interesting. 263,000 contracts for them. Number 9, Viacom, 271,000, still maybe feeling the reeling effects of that mad unwind from last Friday. 271,000 contracts for Viacom, number 9. Number 8, AMD, 285,000 contracts. Number 7, right next to it, AMC, 309,000. So a little bit of the old school top 10er as well as the upstart Mimi top 10er getting in there. Number 6, Facebook has kind of been a top 10er all week lately. It's still there today, 320,000 contracts. Number 5, Palantir. It refuses to give up its hold in the top 10 here, 346,000 contracts. Number 4, Microsoft. Microsoft back in the top 10 out there, 394,000 contracts on the tape there for good old Softy. Let's see what's up in softy land right now. Actually, they're popping quite a bit, 567 up to almost 2.5% out there. So a good run here for softy right now, which is interesting. Number 3, Neo, it's got to be somewhere in the top 10 right now. It's number 3, 631,000 contracts. You can probably guess what number 1, number 2 are, but guess what? They're reversed. This is the first time we've seen Tesla topple Apple in quite a while. Apple, it's still been firm number 1, but it seems like its numbers have been aggressively declining of late versus some of these other names siphoning off some of that love, some of that paper. That seems to be the case today. Apple at about 827,000, which again, it should be good for north of 1 million contracts right now, and at 27,000 contracts for number 2. Tesla taking the big dog seat, 1.28 million contracts out there in Tesla land. Day that ends in Y, there's always some drama, always some action out there in Tesla, even though right now the underlying is effectively unched up 11 cents. That is a rounding error in Tesla right now, 668.04 out there in Tesla land. So it's just interesting stuff. Yeah, it looks like Tesla just lighting it up out here. Let's look really quickly. What's the most biased paper we've got on our top 10 today? Looks like Apple and Neo both pretty biased at 72%, but that's not enough to take it. Palantir, 76%. Looks like that is the big dog. Yes, Palantir, 76% of that 346,000 contracts coming on the call side of the ledger. It actually isn't that bad. We've seen names well north of 90%. So 76%, not exactly huge. Also worth noting, we've still yet to see a put-dominated name break into the top 10 in quite some time. So even though the calls are getting lower out there, still in our top 10, it still is pretty much all calls all the time. Earnings front, we had some names popping off this week. BlackBerry, Chewy, Lululemon on Tuesday. Walgreens, Boots Alliance, I love that one, on Wednesday, as well as Micron, the aforementioned Micron, and Dave and Buster's. Let's see what we've got. We've got some earnings move result reports hot off the presses from our friends over there at ORATS. You folks can find them for yourselves, theoptionsinsider.com. I'll just pop off a couple here for you. Let's go to Micron, see how they performed. They were popping off last night after the bell. They went into their announcement $88.21. They were pricing in 4.6%. They delivered actually 4.9%. So a rear outperformance from an earnings vol perspective. Remember, these reports are done kind of right as a snapshot right before the opening bell there. So it could certainly be a frame of reference thing. Let's see if Micron is moving still. Micron is now at 91.40. So it has given some of that back now. It's up 3.6%. So it looks like that vol outperformance, very short-lived. If you got the heck out of Dodge on the open, you were all right. But outside of that, looks like we're seeing underperformance, which is pretty much the name of the game for the last year out there from an earnings perspective. Let's go on out to, we got CarMax here today as well before the bell. They were at 132.66. Apparently good times for used cars, at least from a price-wise. Let's see what they were pricing in. They're pricing in 5.4%. They delivered 6.1% to the dark side. So maybe not a good time for used cars after all. Stock's selling off a bit. Let's see where it's trading right now. It's at 124. So it's about exactly the same level, off about 6.1%. So it's about exactly where it was as of this report. So a little bit of outperformance here from CarMax. That's the one name that's going to buck the trend out here, because the rest of the trend not looking good for the vol buyers out here, listeners. We're at about a 77% average right now for the season. That means if you bought a basket of vol for the season, you got 77 cents back on your dollar out there. So it's not quite a wipeout, but it's not exactly good. If you bought them in like week 1 or actually this past week, you did horrible. You got 56% and 52% back, respectively. So there have been some dark spots. Still waiting for that moment, still waiting for that inflection point where vol will start to come back from an earnings perspective. So far, at least, it continues to not be the case. People just tend to shrug off earnings. They just don't care. So it's weird times afoot. Let's see what weird stuff our eye of Sauron has found for us as we head on into the Odd Block.
It's time to break down the most interesting, unusual, and downright questionable options activity that's been identified by theoptionsinsider.com. It's time for the Odd Block.
All right, everybody. Let's do it. Let's unleash the Eye of Sauron, see what it comes back to with us today. Surprisingly, given the fact that there's so much paper trading out there today, we're not seeing the big 50,000 lots or anything crazy like that. It seems much more nuanced paper going up out there. But you know what? Our Eye of Sauron, it can play there as well. It's a very subtle, very nuanced eye. Let's get on out there first. Let's go back to Rio Tinto PLC. I haven't talked about this one in a little while. This is an iron ore ADR. Trading right now $77.70 off a whopping nickel. So not a big underlying movement day here for Rio Tinto. It has been a big year, though. A year ago on April Fool's Day, it was trading $44. Like I said, right now it's trading $77. This chart has pretty much been straight up ever since. It got up to about, $64 in September. Then it kind of plateaued a little bit from there. So it fell off again to $55. And then from October 28th, it's been very aggressively straight up. Went from $55 on October 28th all the way up to 80, higher than it is right now, $86 on January 7th. Then it sold off again down to about 77, so pretty much right where it is again right now. Then it turned right around again up to 92.85 on February 24th before turning right back around again. So yeah, the early half of this chart is straight up. Then it gets to the 2021 period and it's had some fits and starts. And then it sold off again from 92.85 down to, on March 24th, a month later, 74.75. So bit of a shellacking there. And now it looks like it's on a little bit of a turnaround here again to where it is right now, 77.67. What did our Eye of Sauron found out there? It was like a little bit playing in the longer term side of the space, maybe a little bit of stock substitution. Let's find out. It was the Jan 2022 86.57 calls. I love these strikes. Obviously, there was some corporate action out here to give us these funky strikes. If you want to hear about changing strikes, sometimes for the better, for the worse, check out our options boot camps we've done over the past couple of weeks. People talking about the cash distribution and rocket mortgages and how that's wreaked havoc on the strikes out there. But 5,250 of the Jan 2022 86.57 calls going up for $4.15. These were crossed when the stock was right about $77, so actually a little bit lower than it is right now. If you're curious, let's see, what is the vol? This is actually about a 30 vol, so it's not super aggressive. And given the fact that this name has moved quite a bit over the past year, you could probably argue it's a fair vol level. Mr. Meatball, what are your thoughts here on these? Well, actually, they're out of the money, but longer term, funky strike calls here. Looks like this is kind of some old school odd block paper, a little bit out of the money love. The only thing that's different about it really is that it's so long term. You don't see people usually these days playing that far out, sir, going out almost a year for some funky upside here in Rio Tinto.
Yeah, well, if it's a really interesting, good play on metals and mining, and that's with all the infrastructure that's going on with everything, with the focus on metals and rare earths and everything for chips and infrastructure. This is a name that could do well, and I think this customer is making a long-term play on this thing going up. My guess is that they're not looking for 10% on these. I think they're looking for a 100 or 200% return on these, and looking for a big move in the stock. That's why you do a longer dated trade like that.
Well, it was at this level not too long ago. It was through this level. I said it was in the 90s, so not that crazy of a strike, not that crazy of a vol. What do you think about this one, listeners? A little bit longer term upside call love here in Rio Tinto. You on board? You like this one? Not like this one? Let us know what you think as we keep on rolling into our next name. We could put this in the to be watched, but it's so far out. By the time you get back to it, we'll have forgotten what the hell we talked about here on the show. So we like to keep them usually within about 3 months or so is usually an optimal time frame for this. Plus our to be watched cup overfloweth as it is. Let's go on out to our next one here. We're going to, this is a newcomer on the odd block. I don't think we talked about this before. This is BLMN Brands Inc., ticker symbol BLMN, BLMN. You might think it's a flower company, but no, this is actually the parent company of Outback Steakhouse, aka the Bloomin' Onion, which I just actually had for the first time in probably years recently. Bit of a celebratory thing. We swung by and got some Outback to go, and it was fun. I don't know what came first, the Bloomin' Onion or the Chili's Awesome Blossom. Probably a little bit of copyright dispute going on there, but both equally delicious in their own way. Either way, good enough to name their company after it, BLMN Brands. They also own Carmax and a few other brands in there. Trading right now, $27.60. This thing has had an interesting run a year ago. Man, you could get all you wanted on April Fool's Day for $6. So obviously the fast casual dining scene took a big drubbing a year ago, but this thing has rallied aggressively since then, all the way up pretty much straight up, by, let's see, it was $6 in April. By June 8th, it was $14.30. Then it kind of gave a little bit of a back down to $10 again, but then right back up to $16.29 on September 11th. And then by January 20th, it was 22.5, all the way up to where it is right now. It actually looks like it topped out recently in early March at about 29, almost $30 on March 26th at $29.95. So it's actually a little bit off those highs right now, a couple of bucks below it. But this thing has had quite the run from $6 to about 30 over the course of the past year. So good days, apparently, for the bloomin' onion out there. Let's see what our Eye of Sauron found out there. Looks like someone may think the party may still keep going. And if not, they're going to pick up some stock. Or if it does, they'll pick up some premium to the tune of 4,250 of the May 22 half puts. Nice to have a nice regular strike again, as opposed to the $86.57 strike from earlier. This went up for 53 cents, pretty much right on the bid. These were 50 cents at 70. Again, a reasonable market for a fairly illiquid name like BLMN Brands. They went up over there. It looks like on the Philly, the vol was about a 53.3% vol out there. Let's see. Earnings are May 5th. So there are earnings. This is an earnings put right here as well. So that gives us a little bit of extra juice here. So 53 cents for a strike. That's about $5 out of the money right now. They blew through this strike not too long ago. They were trading 22 half right around January 21st. So a couple of months back is when they blew through this strike. So it could easily get back there. But still, if they do, they're getting the stock $5 lower, and this thing has been on the rampage. If not, they're keeping 53 cents 4,250 times. Mr. Meatball, what do you think about your old friend, the Rock Lobster's favorite strategy? Looks like the line in the sand put this time in BLMN Brands. Also, I know you have some thoughts about fast casual dining. Are you a fan of the BLMN Brands versus the Darden restaurants, sir?
Outback doesn't, Carrabba's is not nearly as terrible food as Olive Garden. It is definitely a step up. So I don't have the same anger at Outback Steakhouse. Although I would say, why would you go to an Outback when you could go cook your own steak and it'll be better, and or go to a nice steakhouse and not pay much more? I think people would be surprised how expensive and the decent steaks at Outback Steakhouse actually are. Yeah, this looks like a yield play. I think they're just looking to pick up 2% between now and May. That 53 cents, and like you said, willing to buy the stock 20% lower. I don't think that's completely unreasonable to put this play on. But yeah, my gut says it's just a yield play. The guy's trying to get that earnings vol and thinks he's far enough away to collect the premium. The 4,000 and change looks like they're trying to collect. They collected a little over $200,000. I like this. This makes a ton of sense to me.
Yeah, I'm not angry at this one either. By the way, the reason you go to Outback's because you're starving, and B, you're driving by, you see it on the side of the road, and you say, I could go for a bloomin' onion right about now. So that's why you go to. The bread also is pretty darn good as well. It was a fun diversion. Let's keep on rolling out. Let's go to the next name. This is another one. I do believe this might be a newcomer to the odd block as well. This is Kimco Realty. This is another REIT out there. Let's see. They invest also in shopping centers. Find me a REIT that doesn't invest in shopping centers, please. There's far too many of them out there. Kimco Realty Corp, ticker symbol KIM, K-I-M, trading right now $18.85, up about a dime. This is the name that's had also an interesting run, $7.75 a year ago. Got up to, on the great day of June 8th, $15.69. So it had pretty much doubled by June 8th. And then it kind of gave it all back. By July 24th, it was trading $10 again. And then by October 30th, it was still trading around $10. So a lot of the latter half of the year for Kimco was kind of wasted until November 6th. Then it went from 10.25 and it just gapped up by November 9th, trading 13.5. By November 24th, 15.5 again. So obviously a good little earnings announcement there, or something along those lines that really popped it into high gear. And it's kind of never really looked back. By March 12th, it was trading almost $20, $19.69. And that's pretty much right about the high, right around March 12th. Give off a little bit of that since then, got down to 18.25, back to what it is right now, 18.86. So hovering pretty much near its 52-week highs here and well north of its $7 and change levels it was trading at about a year ago. What do we find out here? Let's see. Looks like maybe the same thing. Let's see. Looks like maybe some more May line in the sand puts. Let us find out. It's 4,244. Again, none of the blockbuster 50, 60,000 lot trading today. More nuanced paper going up out there today. 4,244 of the May 17 half puts. So about $1.30 out of the money here. Going up 45 cents. Right off the bid, they were 40 at 55 when this went up. The stock was, let's see, 18.77, so about a dime lower than it is right now. And there are earnings between now and expiration as well. The earnings are on April 29th, so it's like another earnings included line in the sand put out here in Kimco Realty. This one a little bit closer to the fire. Also, a little bit lower vol. This is a 35.5 vol versus the 53.5 vol for the Bloomin' Onion out there. Mr. Meatball, do you like this one as much as the previous one? Looks like selling more puts, this time about $1 and change out of the money. Also going through earnings, this time in Kimco Realty, your favorite REIT.
Yeah, these REITs don't move around as much as you might think. I think the downside in shopping centers has already been realized. So not a bad premium collection for a REIT. I think that makes some sense. And, if there are some changes in taxes, the REITs are going to do really well. That's another thing to kind of think about and be aware of. But no, makes total sense. Someone trying to take delivery or make $1.03, it classic put sale. Makes total sense to me. I don't know as much about Kimco. Although I thought that was the Gold News Network. Isn't that, do they own the Gold News Network as well, Kimco?
That Kitco or something like that?
Yeah, it's Kitco. I'm kidding. but don't listen to Kitco. Only come here. Option Insider.
Is it illegal to have a REIT that doesn't invest in shopping malls at this point? I'm just confused why we have so many REITs that all they do is plow money into shopping malls. Find me another REIT out there, please, as we keep on rolling. It's time to find what you folks have on the brain. You got a lot on the brain as we head on into the Thursday mail block.
It's time to take your seat on the All-Star panel as we read your emails, tweets, Facebook messages, website comments, and much more. It's time for the mail block.
All right, let's do it, ladies and gents. Let's get into it. Your feedback. You guys have a lot of feedback. By the way, a lot of it coming in courtesy of our Broker Madness tournament, which is going on right now, hot and heavy. If you haven't voted in round one, it ends today, April 1st. Round two. Round one already ended. Round two ends today, so then we will determine our final four. We are currently in the Elite Eight. If you want a refresher on who is battling, it is the Leviathan of Schwab/TD versus the rival upstart of Tastyworks. Then we have on the other bracket there, Lightspeed, another rival upstart, going after Merrill Edge. Merrill Edge having a decent showing this year as well. Both of them trumping the quote-unquote millennial free brokers of Gatsby and Robinhood out there. On the other brackets, we had Ally Invest triumphing over E-Option, now taking on Morgan Stanley / E-Trade, who took out Trading Block. And then we have Fidelity, old friends on this program here. They took out Webull, another one of these freebie brokers, got kicked to the curb in round one. Going up against TradeStation, who took out IB, Interactive Brokers. That was an early, pretty decisive contest. I thought IB would go a little farther, but IB getting trumped in the first round here. And now TradeStation facing off against Fidelity. So that is your Elite Eight there, listeners. Get in there. At Options is the easiest place to do it. The survey link is live there. Click on the survey and vote till your heart's content. You're voting some of them, voting all of them. Love your broker, hate your broker. Hit us up. Make sure you register at the end if you want to be registered to win the fabulous prizes. And, of course, we gave you some extra fields there this time, which is kind of fun. Give you a chance to share your thoughts about your broker. You can tell us who you use, and you could tell us also what you like about them and what you don't like about them. It's just optional. It's bonus. It's fun. Gives you a chance to vent your spleen. It lets you do it anonymously if you like. A lot of you took it up. We have a lot of people don't want their name associated with their feedback here. They're afraid their broker is listening. They probably are. But interesting stuff. Let's break down some of it here. And let's see. We gave you one of our bonus questions is, what is your favorite feature, offering, or element from your broker? And we have a bunch of different people chiming in. We have some anonymouses here. One guy says he likes TD Ameritrade support. Another anonymous user says Tasty Works information. Okay. And then Armand, one of the few who gave his name, he uses Lightspeed, and he said he likes Lightspeed's customer service. A lot of love actually here for Lightspeed. They may go far in our tournament this year. We'll see. They have won in the past. They're kind of the little engine that could. Let's see if they can do it again. Another anonymous Lightspeed user also chiming in for the customer service. He says they have excellent customer service. Another anonymous Lightspeed user says it's their speed of execution. Interesting. Likes the speed of execution. Yet another anonymous Lightspeed user says he likes their risk management tools. And this other one here is saying he likes their comm promos, their communications promo. He likes how they promote themselves. I don't know. Weird stuff, but he likes it. So there you go. C'est la vie. We got an anonymous user who uses both TD Ameritrade and Tasty. He says he likes the good till cancel orders on Tasty. Interesting. By the way, his least favorite thing, he also wrote in, he didn't like, where is this guy? He doesn't like having to manually enter his good till cancel orders on TD Ameritrade. So apparently this guy's all about the good till cancel. And however you have it set up on your platform, that's how people always fixate on one feature. I love that. And this guy loves his good till cancels. This person, C-Ski, he's a TD Ameritrade user. He says TOS. He likes TOS. They just have everything. It's kind of hard to argue with it. They kind of have become a big platform these days. A lot of our users like it. How it will fare in the new juggernaut, how Schwab will treat it, I should say, that remains to be seen. We got another anonymous Tasty user saying he likes their order chain. I haven't played around with their order chain. Do they have something do special with their order chain? I'll have to go check it out. Another anonymous Tasty user says he likes their analysis and preset watch lists. They'll give you some watch lists of different categories, I'm assuming, in different sectors. I got an anonymous Fidelity user here saying he likes their Trader Pro and their option analytics out there. Again, interesting stuff. They talked about that when they used to be on the show here. I'm really happy to hear that if that's resonating with folks. We got another anonymous TD and Tasty Trade user saying he likes the trade analysis and curve tool for, I guess, both of them. He doesn't specify which one here, so I guess for both of them there. And he had another anonymous Fidelity user saying he likes their Active Trader Pro. It is a capable trading platform. All right, interesting stuff here. We got a bunch of these. I'm just kind of picking some here. Let's go now to some of your least favorite brokerage features / offerings / elements. We got this was probably my favorite. An anonymous user just put here, I just keep losing money, and then a sad face. Well, I hope that's not the case, Mr. or Mrs. Anonymous. If that's the case, you guys start listening to more of our shows. Listen to this show. Listen to things like Options Bootcamp, Options Playbook Radio. They'll really help you get a handle on these options things. Maybe get a little bit of a basic understanding. Then hopefully, maybe you dial back to trading a little bit and start doing some more basic stuff as well to start getting a feel for how these things work. Hopefully that'll turn around there for you, Mr. and Mrs. Anonymous. I got another anonymous Tasty user. He says, I like and I dislike the $1 contract. He says shares above $50 or $50 or so dollars, but less value for share below $20. So I guess he's saying he doesn't like $1 options. That's not really the broker's choice, but interesting stuff. Anonymous user, he doesn't like Lightspeed's hotkeys. So they have some interesting hotkeys over there. Like this guy apparently does not like them. There's another anonymous Lightspeed user doesn't like the custom order types on Lightspeed. Maybe he wants more. Maybe he doesn't like the ones they have. Either way, he doesn't like them. Another user, Armand, he loves Lightspeed. So there's nothing wrong with them. So there you go. He loves them. Another anonymous TD. This is the guy who likes to manually enter, or doesn't like to manually enter his good till cancels. Another anonymous Tasty user. He says he can't trade the closed market. That's another one. You can probably lay a lot of things at your broker's feet. I don't think not being able to trade the closed market is not one of them. The broker doesn't decide to ban you from trading options. That's a much deeper conversation. We've had that many times on the network. Will we ever get after hours and options? I don't know, but you can't blame the broker for that. This anonymous Tasty user says the web platform lacks the functionality of the desktop app. That's interesting. You think the desktop version would be the web version. Do they have a separate standalone desktop app? That's interesting. Again, I haven't played with Tasty in a while. I'll have to go check it out. But he thinks the web platform lacks the function. Usually the web platform is the bells and whistles. That's the best one. Interesting. Anonymous Fidelity user says the mobile app, he doesn't like the mobile app, and he says they have terrible option trading. Well, then what are you using Fidelity for? They have terrible option trading. Maybe it means the mobile app offers terrible options trading. Anonymous TD and Tasty user, he says their P&L statements / calculations for options. A lot of people probably have problems with that with their broker. The margin / option buying power calculation is where a lot of the voodoo happens in the brokerage world, and people are usually upset about how it works. I don't think it's unique to TD or Tasty, but you probably could certainly take that with a lot of brokers out there. An anonymous Fidelity user, he says, stop losses are only available on calls and puts, not spreads. I didn't know that. That's fascinating. I'll have to check that out and see for myself if that is the case. And then if that's the case, I'll give those guys at Fidelity a hard time. They need to expand their stop loss offerings. Then we have Marlon Souza chiming in. He likes the fact that Tasty Works and TD Ameritrade are going at it already in the Elite Eight. He thinks that's a fun fight. All right, a lot of feedback there. Gentlemen, let's go around the horn. Uncle Mike, we'll start with you. Do you have any thoughts on some of our listeners' feedback? Does any of that resonate with you? Or perhaps do you have your own brokerage feedback you want to share, sir?
It's funny you should mention that because I do. So today, I actually had an issue with TD Ameritrade in terms of the functionality of their platform. And so with that, I talked with a guy and didn't really go so well, let's say. And but anyway, what I do want to say and give props to TD Ameritrade is the fact that a supervisor did call me later and apologized. And so we got our issue resolved. So, but what I do want to say in terms of TD Ameritrade, which is the, I guess technically TD Ameritrade Institutional, which is the broker that I would say a vast majority of what we use through RCM is that when something is bad, they fix it. And that no broker is going to be perfect, but at TD, typically when something is bad, they fix it, and they fix it pretty well. So I do want to give a shout out, maybe not necessarily to the structure of TD, or that's not for me to decide, but I do want to give a shout out to the people who you actually talk to on the phone at TD Ameritrade, because overall, I've been with them for many, many years, or worked with them for many, many years, and it's always been I could count on one hand the times that it's been not a good experience with them. And I probably have called TD Ameritrade for trying to get some type of a complex order working, or for getting an ACAT transfer pushed through, or whatever the case may be. But overall, their customer service has a very good track record. Now, recently, there's a lot of talk online about, since Schwab bought them, that the customer service has come down a little bit with TD Ameritrade. But I got to say, what I've noticed is that hold times are a little bit longer. Now, thankfully, I've been very lucky in that we're part of the elite concierge service or whatever it is through TD Ameritrade, so we get the faster hold times. But typically, in years past, I've had to wait on hold for maybe an average of never. And so in the last year or so, or since the beginning of the year, I've had to wait on hold for maybe 30 seconds. So, and when I do get through to somebody, and my issue is always resolved. So I want to give a shout out to TD Ameritrade, the people in and of themselves that work there, because they really do a great job.
Interesting, because you're right. I've heard anecdotally from a lot of people that they think the customer service has gone downhill since the Schwab deal. So interesting to hear some practical aspect on the institutional side for what's going on over there at TD. Mr. Meatball, do you have any thoughts on our brokers, or I should say our listeners, weighing in on all the pros and cons of the different brokers out there? And then do you have any feedback you want to share, sir?
You know, the head of customer service at Lightspeed is a guy named Mike Rubin, and he is amazing. And he is a hard worker, and he will do anything for you to try and help you out if he's allowed to do it. So big fan of Mike Rubin. And yeah, you know, I do know some of the guys that work on the TD trading desk, and they're all nice. They're all nice folks. In terms of functionality, you know, I think we talked about the fact that we don't use stop orders, so that doesn't really bug me. What I really care about, the number one thing you should care about is execution and the speed of execution and getting the price levels that you want. The one thing I really do like about TD Ameritrade for their options is the ability to route. So they don't force you to use this. They default you to their exchange that says best. And what best means is, what's the place where they're going to get the best payment for order flow. But I am able to route my orders the way I want. So I'm able to send paper to SEBO or ICE, where, if you understand the differing, or MIAX, sorry, shout out to my MIAX friends. If you understand order routing, there are exchanges that you want to send your orders to when you are working an order versus taking an order. And, having the ability to route to specific exchanges is highly advantageous and probably my favorite thing about TD Ameritrade Thinkorswim.
That is a nice feature. I do like that. And by the way, your friend over there at Lightspeed's clearly doing a good job on the customer service front, because multiple people specifically called out the Lightspeed excellent customer service. So apparently he's doing a good job over there. If you're using Lightspeed, folks like the customer service. Keep hitting us up. Let us know. Round 2 ends today. If you voted in round 1, you can vote in round 2. You just can't vote multiple times per round. Also, make sure you keep registering at the end of it so you can get registered to win the fabulous prizes multiple times. In fact, I encourage it. You should vote in every round to make sure you're entered at least 4 times there for the old fabulous prizes. And also, you can give different feedback every time if you want to. If you have a different broker you want to share with, go ahead. It's just more interesting feedback for us, and we could talk about it, I should say, with the brokers and maybe get some of this stuff resolved, or at the very least, let them know what you folks are thinking about their service out there. Speaking of what you guys are thinking, we had a listener question in the chat. I think this was last week from Kilobond. He had an interesting question about these things he called RRSP accounts. I thought at the time it sounded like a Canadian or some sort of international account. Uncle Mike confirmed that it was Canadian. He says he trades in an RRSP account. He can't trade puts. So we were kind of surprised by that. So I actually said I would do some digging, and I did do some digging into RRSP accounts since that show. And turns out he's correct. You can't sell puts in a Canadian RRSP account, even cash secured puts. Now, if you know anything about synthetics and basic options, you should know that if they prohibit that, they should prohibit covered calls as well. And yet they do not. They allow you to sell covered calls. So clearly this is not a risk thing. Either they're idiots, which actually I don't think. Usually on the derivative side, the Canadian firms are actually usually some of the more savvy. If you go look for some of the higher end vol trading and funds out there, a lot of them are found in Canada. So there is a deep options and derivatives wherewithal in Canada. So I don't think it's a not understanding the risk equivalency. It clearly is some sort of regulatory issue. I did a little bit of digging into what it is. And the CRA, the Canadian Revenue Authority, kind of like their version of the IRS, they think that if you're selling options in these types of funds, it's a problem because you're earning business income. They say writing a covered call option is okay, whereby a registered plan sells a call option, blah, 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 respect to underlying property, which it already owns. That does not result in the plan being considered to be carrying on a business. But for some reason, if you write an uncovered call or writing a put, it may result in your plan being considered to be carrying on a business. Therefore, they do not allow it. So when I say sometimes that the regulatory side of the business is absurd, listeners, this kind of stuff is what I mean. There's 2 risk equivalent positions, yet one is prohibited, one is not, and for completely ridiculous reasons. So unfortunately, you were correct there, Kilobond. And I think Uncle Mike's suggestion is kind of the only way to go. You're going to have to do covered calls if you want to have effectively the same thing. And I know you wanted to use the short put to buy into the stock. That's not what you wanted, but unfortunately, that's the only thing you're allowed. Take it up with the Canadian Revenue Agency, because they're apparently the ones who are leaning on you folks. As we keep on rolling to our final segment, it's time to go around the block.
It's time to tell you what we'll be watching on our trading screens until the next episode. It's time for Around the Block.
All right, everybody, welcome to Around the Block, the portion of the show where we tell you what the heck's going on out there, what we're keeping an eye on for the rest of, usually it's the rest of this week, at least until Vol Views into Monday. Now, of course, we have a long holiday weekend, so it takes on a little bit more of an importance, but the market's still firmly in the green. NASDAQ up about 1.5%. S&P still north of the 4,000, up about almost a full percent, and Dow up pretty much still about 0.5%. So they haven't really budged that much since the start of the show. Let's go back around the horn. Let's start with the Uncle Mike. Mr. Uncle Mike, sir, what are you watching through this holiday weekend into our next show on Monday?
Maintain the 4,000 level with the SPX. I think that's the big thing right now, watching the yields as well in the 10-year. And I think that just when we come out on Monday, it'll be interesting to see what the reaction is this Monday morning. And then getting back to the Canadian Revenue Authority, I remember when I was at Options Express, I sat in on the meeting for Options Express to get Canadian accounts. And when they were going through it with the regulators, and it was the most intense thing I've ever seen about what they were going through with the disclosures, what had to be done. They're very stringent on there, at least from my experience, on how they handle options. And they don't seem to like the option products in Canada, at least the regulators anyway.
Well, clearly they don't like selling puts at the very least, because if you're selling puts, that's a business. You don't want to be seen as carrying on a business. I love it. All right, Mr. Meatball, same question for you, sir. What are you keeping an eye on through this extended holiday weekend until our next episode on Monday, sir?
Yeah, I'm really interested in what the close today looks like. We've had a couple of nice days where we kind of fizzled a little bit on the close. So I'm keeping my eyes for that. And I'm going to be watching to see if we have what Monday looks like when we're doing option block in terms of VIX and the overall volatility complex. That is going to be my concentration.
That will be certainly fascinating to watch. Do we get the vol pop we usually get these kind of holiday weekends, or do we get this continued vol annihilation? We shall see as we keep on rolling into our final bit. Let's see. Where's our music here? Ah, there we go. There it is. There's our music. Unfortunately, listeners, that means this episode coming to an end. But if you need more in your ear holes before the long holiday weekend, don't worry. We got you covered. Put some fun stuff in the live stream, and we'll be back in exactly 30 minutes with the once and future Dr. Bix talking all things. We're going to talk a lot of equity vol because he'll be on, but also a bunch of other stuff popping off. Small caps. We're going to probably talk some energy. I haven't looked at the reports yet. I don't know what's lighting it up for the movers and shakers, but a lot of stuff lighting it up out there this week. So we're going to break it all down coming up on TWIFO. But before we go, let's go back around the horn. Let's start with the greasiest of Meatball. Mr. Meatball, sir, if folks are intrigued, they want to hit you up, they have questions or comments, where should they go? What should they do?
We did a webinar last Thursday, an all-day educational event. At that webinar, we offered 2 free classes, one on gamma trading, long gamma trading, one on risk management. If you call our number, 888-872-3301, that's 888-TRADE-01. If you call in, we'll give you those videos for free. You just have to call us and come and talk to Teddy. He will gladly help you out. You can just give us a ring, 888-TRADE-01. That's 872-3301.
There you go, 888-TRADE-01. Hit them up. Get those free videos. Get them while they're getting something to watch over the long weekend while you're not trading. And Mr. Uncle Mike, same question for you. If folks want to follow you on the old social medias or perhaps share their umbrage about dinosaurs, where should they go? What should they do? I think he's taking his own umbrage. He's so mad that he refuses to do his own plug.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
I'll do the...
We can hear you.
I was about to do the plug for you, Mike. I was going to say, if you want the world's best broker who uses options, the runner-up for the former offensive lineman for the runner-up Buffalo Bills, St. Charles' greatest redhead, you got to give Mike TOSAW a shout because he's going to take great care of you. And he's going to love you whether you have $5,000 or $500,000 or $500,000. So come visit Mike TOSAW and shoot him an email. I don't know your email, Mike, so you're going to have to say that part.
stcharleswealth.com is my website. @Mike TOSAW is my Twitter handle. Happy Easter, everybody.
Happy Easter.
There we go. Yes, well done all around. Give him a follow on the old Twitters @Mike TOSAW, TOSAW. AW. On behalf of the unclest of Mikes and the greasiest of meatballs and our friends over there at Demand Derivatives, get in while the getting's good still on that crowdfunding. Demand Derivatives, 2ds.com is the place to go. And of course, on behalf of myself, I want to thank all of you out there for downloading, streaming, for voting in our battle royale out there. Keep it up. Keep sending your feedback. We love to hear it. We'll share it with the appropriate folks at the brokers. They're listening to this. I'm going to still hear it right now. So if you want to take advantage of our megaphone, get out there. You hate good till cancels. You love entering. Whatever it is, hit us up. Let us know. We love to hear from you. We'll be back in exactly half an hour with Twifo. No vol views tomorrow. Don't blame us. Blame the markets. But we're back again on Monday. Another episode of the Option Block.
This episode is sponsored by Demand Derivatives, a startup futures exchange and clearinghouse trading the world's major assets in a creative new way. You already trade on an exchange. Here is your chance to own one. Before they approach large strategic partners for funding, the pioneering team at Demand Derivatives launched a crowdfunding portal so that regular traders have the chance to buy shares. Learn more and become a part of this revolutionary fintech project now at demandderivatives.com/crowdfunding. You're listening to the Options Insider Radio Network, the home of the Options Podcast. For more quality options programs, visit theoptionsinsider.com or search for Options Insider Radio Network in your podcast provider of choice. Listeners can also access all of our programming through our mobile app available in the iTunes and Google Play stores. Select programs are also available via live stream at mixlr.com/options-insider. That's mixlr.com/options-insider. Don't forget to follow along with your favorite programs and submit your own questions for the hosts at twitter.com/options, stocktwits.com/options, facebook.com/theoptionsinsider, or via questions at theoptionsinsider.com.